estate license, moved to St. Pete, started with Prudential Gower back then, which is no longer around, George and John Gower, and did 8 million my first year, and was like, oh, I like this. I love it. I feel confident and competent doing it. So, grew and made some changes. I did join Keller Williams. I was actually recruited to relaunch the downtown office back in 2009. And it was a crazy time. We were opening one of the largest real estate offices square footage wise in downtown St. Pete, where at a time when everybody else was shrinking the size of their office and promoting work from home. And I love working in an office environment. Even though I'm in my home office right now, my routine hasn't changed. I still get up every morning at the same time. I'm reading, journaling, running. I get fully dressed. I even have shoes on and perfume. So like there's things that for my own mindset, I have to keep doing. But I believe that going into the office creates an environment of productivity. And so we just constantly are connecting with our agents to create a sense of community. And that for me right now has been the biggest key, is making sure that we're staying in touch with our people. And we've been putting everything on Facebook Live, and I'm actually on Instagram Live right now, so that anybody who's not feeling connected can get connected. Going through the downturn of the market and the recession, that taught us so much on how to, thrive in environments. And then I like to say that I got fat and lazy. We got really comfortable. Until about 2017, 18, people were really still sensitive to the recession. And now in the last, I'd say 12, 18 months, I haven't seen that sensitivity. And that's what I mean by we got fat and lazy. And we had to get a gut check and get real with our market, our situation, and our finances. And that's, what I think will help us all continue to move through this. So I don't know if I answered your question or not, but.
No, it's great. I think we're starting with just getting a little bit of background and what you think the key moments were that helped you, grow during good or bad economic times, and the kind of the backstory of where we're at before we dive into some specifics on how we're going to treat market uncertainty right now. So I appreciate that. Before we move on to Chris, it looks like Ray was able to join us here. So how you doing, Ray? It looks like we got you now in the car. You're muted. I think, here you go. Can you hear me now?
I can, yes.
All right, wonderful. Let me just quickly introduce Ray, and then the question on the table, Ray, is we're just doing a brief story of your career, what that path has looked like, the good and bad lessons that you feel like, a couple of nuggets that you can grab as we kind of dive into our main topic of dealing with market uncertainty here. But for those of you who might not know Ray, Ray went to Roger Williams University, graduated in 1990, I believe. And just on a personal note, a good buddy of mine, Steve Petrozzella, told me to say hi to you, Ray. I guess you guys played hockey together growing up, and he's somebody I know very well from the Buffalo area, where I believe you're from originally. Moved to Tampa in 1992 to join the sales and marketing group for the then newly formed Tampa Bay Lightning. During his 4 years with the Lightning, he headed up a sales group that established some of the national attendance records in the National Hockey League. He served as a consultant as well for them and other sports-related enterprises. He became a realtor in 1996 and performed as a top agent from 1996 through 2011. And since 1998 has maintained a ranking in one of the top 1% nationwide for sales volume. In 2012, Ray formed the brokerage Mihara and Associates. I believe in that first year, your team had 7 agents, and you can correct me if any of this is wrong, but I believe 7 agents, and my understanding now is that you guys have 65 agents on the team, somewhere in that ballpark, with Mihara and Associates. During the crash, I found this somewhere, that your focus during the 2008, 2009, even throughout 2010, really started learning how to adjust to the market, and we're focused on short sales and foreclosures like many people. But I thought it was noteworthy that I saw a quote somewhere that said that your focus really became 80% about how to consult people through the challenges, and then 20% on actual homes and real estate and property. And I think that speaks a lot to what we're really here for. Personally, you're married to your beautiful wife, Annette, and you have a daughter, Brooke. And so we thank you for joining the panel, Ray, and looking forward to hearing what you have to say. So thanks for being here.
Listen, thanks for having me. So, all the information you shared was accurate. We've now grown to about 90 agents. And, the path from NHL hockey and marketing to real estate, there's a lot of similarities. We had a lot of challenges with the Tampa Bay Lightning. Nobody knew anything about hockey in Tampa. Getting into the real estate business and running into the 9/11 and the crash of 2008, just different challenges. I think as far as the panel goes, great panel that you have today, but the thing that makes us all successful is just understanding that the playing field in real estate will always change. And if we understand the change, we collect good information, good facts, we figure out how to troubleshoot the problems, we'll continue to be successful. So after 3,000 sales over my 25 years in the business, I currently sell real estate as an agent, and I am the broker of 90 agents. It's nice to be in the trenches and understand what agents are going through, not just sitting behind the bigger desk.
Man, thanks for some thoughts there, Ray. Let me transition to Chris here. Chris, if you say a question, just a brief little background of your career, what that path has looked like, and any key lessons you feel like you picked up.
Sure. Well, thanks for having me, Don, and real producers, and also all of the distinguished panelists. It's good to be with everyone, and it's nice to have a colleague over at Keller Williams. Rachel, good to see you. My career's been kind of one of several instances of bad luck, and turned into good luck. So one door closes, another door opens. And what I can share with you is that back in 2000, December of 2000, I sold an online internet company to TheStreet.com. But prior to that, when I tried to sell it, but when I started to found it, I was finishing up a law degree and an MBA at Georgetown, and I got a call from Holland & Knight, which is a law firm in Tampa that I was supposed to go work at, and they said, well, you really got to pick one of the two. And so I decided to do the internet company instead of be a lawyer. Thank God for that. So that was one good decision made for me. But I did pass the bar exam, but don't actively practice. But what I could share with you is that I went to my mother and I said, hey, Mom, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to start this internet company. And she just, hung up the phone on me. She said, you're making the worst mistake of your life. And I thought, uh-oh, well, that's not too good. And then she called back the next day with my dad, and she informed me that I was cut off, that I had a good job, and that I didn't need to rely upon anything else from them. So just so you know, you're cut off, and then there's nothing else coming your way. Well, I had to buy a laptop for the business that I was running. It was called smartportfolio.com. So I went to her about several months later after I was cut off and I moved back to Lakeland, and I said, I'm not asking for a loan, but I'm asking for an investment. And so she took out the check, and then she wrote a check for $5,000. And I said, okay, you're now an investor in smartportfolio.com. The whole point of the story is that 18 months later, after she handed me the check and she said, I'm pouring my money down a rat hole. So she was really not a big believer in this company. 18 months later, that $5,000 turned into $180,000 for her when we sold the company. So it was one kind of bad thing that led to another good thing. So obviously I had the best timing in the world, and I opened up Keller Williams Realty channel side right as the channel side catastrophe happened, with all of the things that happened in 2008 to 2009, 2010. But we quickly pivoted very quickly, and that office became known for short sales and being very investor friendly, and making money in a down market or a transition market. But what I'll tell you is that the one thing that really sticks in my mind, you've already gone over the Warren Buffett quote, which I love, which is be greedy when others are fearful and fearful when others are greedy. But there's another quote that is in my mind during these days and times, particularly because we're talking about the origins of the coronavirus, and that's the word danger in Chinese. So if you look at the word danger in Chinese and you Google it, it actually is a combination of two words. Excuse me, I take that back. It's actually the word crisis. So crisis in Chinese is the combination of the word danger and opportunity. So you add danger and opportunity together and you get crisis. And what we've got to be careful about, of course, is when you say opportunity, what does that look like? I think it's an opportunity to show your value, particularly with our clients these days, and to be of value to other people in this very turbulent market. But as you know, I made quite a lot of money back in 2008 and 2010 during a shifted market because I was a buyer. So I also bought a lot of real estate and still own it, thank goodness. And we'll see what tomorrow brings. But what I can share with you is in any crisis, there is an opportunity. There's a silver lining, and you just got to look for it. So good to be with you, Don, and great to have the distinguished panelists on with us.
Great. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate it. It's always good to have very supportive parents when we're starting and pursuing.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you know, the punchline to that story is when we sold the company, the local newspaper did an article on us that we sold the company, and the last sentence of the article said, "And his mother said he was making the worst mistake of his life." So it was pretty funny.
Well, she got a nice return on that investment, for sure.
Get a nice return.
That's exciting. And let's go to Bob here. And Bob, you are unmuted as well. And by the way, just so we're clear, as we go through these questions, guys, there's no obligation for all four of you to have to answer every single question. So as we start going through some questions, now this first one is a bit of each one of your background, so we're definitely going to have that share. But as we go through the rest of these questions, you might not feel like you have anything necessarily on top of whatever someone else might have said to add, which is totally fine. And I think with the time we have remaining, we'll run right up until 11. We'll definitely be off on time at 11. We'll do the best we can to get as many great ideas out there as we can for the well over 100 plus people that we already have in attendance here on our webinar. So let's go to Bob McDugald. Bob, brief little story of your career and what do you think one of the biggest lessons was that you took away?
Sure, thanks. Hey, again, thanks for having me, and thanks to all the other panelists as well. I'm looking forward. I've already taken several notes from you guys, so I look forward to continuing to learn. So, a brief story: Southern California, born and bred, lived in Northern California for a bit, went to school there, played college baseball, like you said, got out, and my whole dream was to be a high school math teacher and a baseball coach. That was my life vision at the time. And started doing that, proceeding with that. Jeanette, my wife, we met in college out in California, but she was from St. Pete area. And so we ended up moving to the St. Petersburg area, Pinellas County in particular, 1992. I taught for 1 year in Florida, and then we bought our first home, and the guy who sold me my home said, "Hey, you know what? You'd be great." And so I tried it for a summer to see what I could do. It just, didn't quit my teaching job just to see if I could make it, and gave myself 10 weeks in the summer to see if I could make a go of it. And in those 10 weeks, I had, I think, 6 closings, another 6 under contract already. And I said, you know what? I've already replaced my income from teaching. And so let me just see what I can do with the other 42 weeks this year, and kind of never look back. That was back in 1993. So I've been doing this a while, and have seen different shifts in markets, and no surprise, right? I mean, it's sometimes these shifts come on us a little more sudden than we anticipate. All right. But for the most part, Chris is very well versed in markets, it sounds like, and Don, sounds like you follow markets as well as do I. And it's, I don't think we should ever be surprised when a tide goes out, right? I mean, it's like, hello, shock of the world. I could go to Farmer's Almanac and tell you when the tide's going to come in and tide goes out. And markets always do shift. So we got to be prepared to do that. So short story, I moved around different offices, been a different, I was at a Prudential office, Rachel, as you were back in the day before they became eventually Berkshire Hathaways now, and kind of rolled through and did all that. Rachel, real quick, I did notice, I think you're from Murfreesboro, Tennessee?
Murfreesboro, Tennessee, graduate of Middle Tennessee State University.
Awesome, good deal. I am sitting in Nashville, Belle Meade, Tennessee, as we speak.
Awesome.
I have a home in Windermere and up here in Nashville. So I saw that about you. That's great. So 2001, actually, I started Future Home Realty. But for 3 years, Future Home Realty, you're looking at Future Home Realty. I was just a one-man show doing my own thing, selling about 100 homes a year with a closing coordinator, and that was about it. And so just finding innovative ways to get business done. 2004, started taking on agents with Don. You mentioned the earn more, keep more model. That kind of the earn more is I still am a teacher at heart. I love to teach, and I love to borrow some of the other people's terms that you said. I think it was Ray and Chris and Rachel as well, to consult our people and how they can run their own business. Right? We all promote that, and now we've grown different offices, a couple different regions now, and 1,400 plus agents, and excited about opportunities that open up every day. It's a new day every time we wake up. And Rachel, kudos to you for dressed and perfumed on. You know what? I looked at, I said, I get to wear it. I'm going to wear a coat today. You know, this is awesome. It's a chance, you know, my tux is down in Florida, right? But to put that on for you, I'm looking for an excuse to do that. So excited to be here and excited to hear the answers from the other panelists and to share whatever I can with the specific questions you have, Don.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Looking forward to diving in here now. And I actually did put gel in my hair as well. So we're all decked out, ready to rock and roll. So here's the first question on the table. And I guess how we'll do this is I'll just ask who would like to go first. If you want to raise hands, if you just want to jump in, we'll keep it casual here. But the first thing, all four of you mentioned in one way, shape, or form, the idea of markets that are, when there's uncertainty in markets, that provides opportunities. And so as all of you are leaders, you're all training agents, you all have big teams now. What are some specific opportunities that you're talking about with your teams right now? What are things that you want your agents to be looking for, to take advantage of? What are you preparing them for right now? Who'd like to go first?
I can jump in. You know, we're obviously promoting heavily continued engagement, right? Engagement amongst ourselves and engagement with the individual agent's sphere, right? We have always promoted a theory we call 150 equals 22,500. And that comes from, hey, you don't need a huge database. We'd rather you go deeper with 150 people in your database than try and go real shallow with 4,000, right? And so, and the reason we get to 22,500, the math teacher in me says that 150 know 150, and 150 squared is 22,500. So if you can service and really focus on engaging with a core group of your sphere, and we kind of try and encourage them at 150, knowing that we say if you take care of 150 people and really consult them in a great manner, you'll never want for another business deal ever again, right? Because you will just have more business than you can even begin to handle. And so last thing too is we call it, even though we don't call it social distancing, we're calling it physical distancing because we are physically apart. But just like what we're doing right now, we are still socially interacting, and that's fantastic. So encourage them to continue to engage. So
great, I love that. Being more focusing on deeper relationships versus shallow. A lot of times we get caught up in the numbers. That's great stuff, Bob. Anyone else? Rachel, Chris? Rachel, go ahead.
Bob, I was just, I've got an entrepreneur magazine here that is several months old, but there's an article in it called Set Yourself Up for a Big Year. And I've read this article probably 4 times in the last week because I'm thinking that every day we should be writing a business plan and stop using the one that we started the year with. But that was one of the things he talked about in the article was how to expand your business. And he says, instead of thinking about how to get more customers, think about how we can deepen the relationships with our existing customers. So right in line with what you're talking about. As far as an opportunity, and Chris, I would love for you to tell me your perspective of this. Right now, I think that we have a potential to be moving into housing inventory crisis. If you, in Pinellas County, our Pinellas Realtor organization, David Bennett is posting daily statistics, and I'm so thankful for those. If you look at single family residential homes, the number of pending is exceeding the number of active. The number of closed is exceeding the number of active on a day-to-day basis. And then I did this research probably 2 weeks ago. I need to update it. But the temporary off market and withdrawn conditionally has increased 86%. So people are pulling, we started the end of February, we were at a 2.1 month supply of inventory. And now we've got people removing more of the inventory. And so I think we already had, it was already really low and it continues to get lower. So I'm telling the agents in our office, right now is the best opportunity to gain market share, to go out and get listings and just stay focused on that. What's your perspective on that, Chris?
Yeah, I would agree with you that in the temporary, we're going to have an issue with inventory, but I think given the millions of people that are unemployed and that may not find gainful employment again, we're also going to start seeing some inventory come back. But unfortunately, it's not going to be your regular inventory. It's going to be short sale inventory. It's going to be distressed property inventory. And what I mean by that, Rachel, is it's probably, we're looking at 6 months out from now. We're not going to see short sales coming on as quick and fast and furious because we don't have a housing crisis. We have a pandemic right now going on. So in the short term, I do see our inventory, obviously it's dropped, but once we get back to normal, or the new normal, I should say, I think we'll have some other new inventory coming. And also I think people with equity are going to start saying, you know what, I want to lock in that equity. It's time to sell in case anything else happens. So we're, I think we'll expect to see some more folks listing their properties. So we're probably going to see a little dip, but then we'll come right out of it. But then be prepared for some more distressed properties to hit the market.
And that might be another opportunity as well for purchasing, because when everybody's running one way and we're going the other way, that's where the opportunity is. Because people who are having unemployment and giving up their homes, they're going to have a rental. And I don't know, I guess in Hillsborough you guys get sprawl, in Pinellas we're waterlocked, so we don't have that.
Well, it's without a doubt we're going to have the investors, particularly I would say a little bit more sophisticated investors, come back in the market. Of course, they're all happy right now because most of the iBuyers, of course, Keller Offers is still in the market, but most of the iBuyers, the Zillow Direct and OfferPad and Open Door have all exited the market. So that's going to create more opportunity for typically our clients. Of course, we do have Keller Offers, so we're still in the marketplace, but that's going to create more opportunity for investor clients as well.
Ray, do you want to add anything to this topic?
Yeah, sure. I think, and all of you, very good points. I pretty much agree with all of you. I think we'll see the playing field kind of even out a little bit once we come out of this, because we've been running into the last 3 years where there's been a shortage of inventory. There's buyers waiting to find good properties and just having a tough time with the inventory. And as we come out of this, I think we will see that inventory show up. Again, it could be the short sales. It could be sellers a little bit more motivated. But I think it does create the balance between the buyers and the sellers. The hardest part about all of this is there's so much guesswork involved. Like, because we haven't been through this to really track what can we expect in 30, 60, 90 days, I've taken this approach where, like, I don't know. I don't want to take the approach of guessing, and I'm focused on what I know. And what I know is that, there will be more properties to hit. and preparing agents and their buyers to say, look, if your budget was 250 with interest rates going down, maybe you can afford 275. So whatever the budgets were before we entered the virus, the budgets could change. What the value of a home is from before the virus to today also could change. But I think that we probably, and again, this is a little bit of guesswork, we may see a little bit more balancing between buyers and sellers.
Cool. Let's talk a little bit more about buyers and sellers, and specifically about certain expectations that you're teaching your agents, or that you're also doing yourself, that you're setting with buyers and sellers right now. I've heard some agents tell me in my conversations that they're trying to kind of deal with some buyers that are flaky when it comes to just having a lot of fear about like actually having a closing date scheduled a couple of days. And they're like thinking about leaving the closing table because they don't really know if they want to close in a couple of days from now. Depending upon, what if they think the value of the home is going to tank in the next 30 days. Right. So what are some things that you're doing, and what expectations do you think we should be setting right now in conversations that should be happening specifically with buyers and sellers in this type of an environment?
Well, I think if you look at what's going on, there are two things that I would say that could actually be beneficial to a buyer. The first is that we have historically low interest rates. So of course, that's if they can still qualify for the loan, because of course, qualifying is getting a little bit more challenging than it was before. But again, we typically have had 10 buyers for every one house that we have for sale. So we're still moving inventory as it hits the market. The second thing is that we have historically low inventory. And of course, that could change in 6 months. We'll see. But as of right now, if I'm a buyer, I'm going to say, gosh, you know what, prices may come down given the pressure and given what we're seeing in the economy and everything like that. Prices could come down, but gosh, I'm going to lock in under 3.5% on a historically low interest rate. So that's going to, if the gap, if I lose, 5 or 10% of my home value, the fact is my holding costs on this home are still locked in at historically low interest rates. And those interest rates won't necessarily be with us 12 months from now or 24 months from now. So I think you've got to counsel your buyers on the historically low interest rates, the fact that we do have very low inventory, that'll give them a little bit of a calming effect. Then of course, if you're talking to a seller, you want to encourage them to lock in their equity because there's no guarantee of what's going to happen with housing prices 6 months from now. So just like there's no guarantee of what's going to happen with interest rates.
And, I've been talking to a lot of the realtors that whether they're working with buyers or sellers, it goes back to that expectations dialogue that we have to have up front. We have to make sure that the customer is motivated and they have a sense of urgency. And if they don't have a sense of urgency, they shouldn't put their home on the market, or they shouldn't put a home under contract. And having that conversation of, hey, I just had a buyer under contract, and 15 days in, they got cold feet or they lost their job. And, I want to make sure that doesn't happen to you. So having that real open, genuine conversation up front before you ever get started. We had a seller put their home on the market on Friday, had 3 offers on Saturday, and just got so scared that she wouldn't have a place to move to or to live with everything going on. She rejected all 3 offers. So, I think it's extremely important to know the urgency of the customer up front and set proper expectations.
Bob or Ray, any other thoughts?
No, I think that those are great points. We're in this time where real estate is really secondary. We are in the people business. I think this is the time for us to really spend more time understanding the client, understanding what is going to be helpful for them, whether it is to move forward or to wait. But I think some great points. Like we really, really do have to do a fantastic job of listening, understanding the client, and don't ever have them feel like they're being pushed, but they're going to be seeking information more than ever from us as the experts. And as long as we can collect good facts and provide those facts and options to the public, it'll help them with their decisions, and they'll feel more confident in the decision that they make.
That's great input, Ray. And, it reminded me of Rachel and Chris. You guys might appreciate this. I come from the Keller Williams days of Gary Ubaldini's List Your Way to Success, a class. Yeah. And in that mode, I can still picture me going through a listing presentation. I was saying, what would make this a 10? What would make this a 10 plus? What would make this a 10 plus, right? Okay. And really diving and digging deep, as we talked about before, to as Rachel said, ensure that there's proper motivation. The good news is I really believe that we are a lot closer to coming out of this than we are from coming into it. All right. I see the curve starting to flatten. Are we going to do business differently? Yes, but I don't think we're talking about a huge amount of shutdown here. But we've got to deal with the fallout, as Chris is saying. What is that going to look like? How many people have lost their jobs permanently, and what's all that? And to Ray's point, kudos to you, Ray. Exactly about, hey, we have got to be more so now than ever, consulting our people and listening and hearing them and making sure we're not trying to force an agenda. We always try and protect. I always try and protect our agents. Say you better get some mouthwash, because I smell commission breath on you right now, right? And so we got to remove ourselves from that and into hey, truly, let's consult and help them make a wise decision for them at this point. And last thing, and all three, I think, if you guys have hit on it, whenever crisis hit, there's always a vacuum of truth, right? And if you can fill that vacuum with true truth, and for me, Chris, I think you'd appreciate this, knowing your background, and Rachel probably as well, and Ray, it sounds like you've done some investing. Have data, right? Rachel, you mentioned what Pinellas Realtor Organization is putting out on a daily basis. They're doing a rolling 4-week analysis that updates daily of where we are in actives, pendings, average, median sale price, median listing price. All that data is going to be critical for our agents to be able to decipher properly and then help better educate the clients as we come out of this.
Yeah. Good stuff. Pretty much every top producer that I have the pleasure of interviewing for Real Producers talks about the role of what you guys do as being a consultant, and understanding that idea of really learning how to listen effectively for the unspoken cues. I think there's a line that I've heard many, many times, which is the reason why God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth is so that we listen more than we speak. And I think in real estate, it ultimately really has a lot to do with your ability to serve people, is to be an effective listener so that you can find what those unspoken motivations really are. Sometimes. Let's transition to one of my favorite topics, which is marketing. And I have a marketing background. I always love asking about your philosophies when it comes to marketing. What are your philosophies when it comes to marketing during times like this, during uncertain times? What are you training people on? And does it change at all from what your philosophy is all the time? What are your thoughts on that? Who'd like to go first?
Well, Don, I'll jump in real quick. I think that this particular moment in time, we're going to see the cost of lead generation, online lead generation, plummet. And for those who have kind of built their businesses off of a Zillow or Realtor.com or online leads, you're going to find that those leads are going to come down in value and they're going to come down in price. But in addition to that, there are going to be other new opportunities for people to go out and do more online lead generation for a fraction of what they've been paying before. So I know within our organization at Keller Williams, we have the Facebook Lead Accelerator where people are literally generating leads for 60 cents a lead through the Facebook algorithm with Keller Williams. But even if you work with Keller Williams and you're out there doing online lead generation, Zillow isn't going to be charging what they used to be charging. The arm and a leg isn't going to happen anymore. So you're going to have, while we're all shifting our budgets and we're all making sure that we can, have a more appropriate cost of online lead generation, I think that that's going to certainly be a lower. The bar is going to go lower, and it's going to stay lower for quite some time, because I don't think that as more people discover new opportunities and cheaper ways of advertising, they're not going to go back to the same ways as of before.
Biggest shift I've seen in agent marketing, Chris says, and you've probably seen this too. I'm sure all of you guys have seen this. I haven't jumped on the bandwagon. I think agents have no idea what to do, and so they're doing TikTok.
We've seen some agents do TikTok. It's a little scary, to be honest with you. So some of the dance moves are a little frightening.
They're hoping to get all those teenagers to invest early, huh?
Hey, Don, I'll add to that and just kind of take us down a different path. I think in terms of marketing for my company and what we're going to be doing different is we're going to be putting safety first. So a lot of the marketing that we're going to be coming out with, that we're preparing now, is to say how we're going to do business different moving forward, but we're going to pay attention to safety, because again, this could drag on certainly throughout the rest of the year. Probably good practices take it into how we do business just moving on in general. But I think the key word for marketing for Mihara and Associates is going to be safety.
Cool. Safety meaning, give me an example of how that would be utilized by your team, like using more virtual technology like this instead of everything being as in person, or what's your takeaway from the safety point?
Yeah, I think, having gloves available if we're showing homes for our clients, chances are they won't think to bring them. Having masks available once we're out showing properties on a regular basis. Having sanitizer, in all the agents' cars available for our clients. I think the virtual showings we'll see a lot more of that. Again, we can narrow down, instead of showing 20 homes, maybe we can narrow it down to 3. I think as far as our sellers, providing them again with things like sanitizers for them to wash down knobs, having doors open so the public doesn't necessarily have to touch doorknobs. So we're gonna incorporate what we feel is some safety measures just in general, but we're gonna key on the safety part.
I like it. Good stuff, Ray. Bob, anything to add?
Yeah, well, I was going to tag team on what Ray just said. I think that's great, because it goes back to, right, alleviating concern, right? If a client, if their biggest concern right now is having people in their house, right, or if they're a seller, or going into other people's homes if they're a buyer, having solutions to those concerns, whether we're doing RON closings with remote online notary, so it's completely touch-free and everything else, or whatever that may look like, having solutions, as Ray mentioned, to alleviate the safety concern would be huge. And I agree with you, Ray. I think that's great. And the stuff that like Vic DeVore is doing and offering those virtual tours. And I think, Ray, you hit a nail on the head. If we, even 2 years down the road, this could be a great thing for realtors, right? If we can get so used to this that now our clients are, instead of wanting to see 20 homes in person, they've narrowed them down virtually to only 3. Well, now we've severely reduced our opportunity to have to engage, with somebody we don't know what they might be doing. So I think that's great. Kudos to you.
Yeah, that's great stuff. I love that. I've been talking to numerous agents recently, and I do believe that for some people who were kind of lagging behind with technology and utilizing things like Zoom and virtual showings and other things, this has been forcing them to hop on the bandwagon and adjust. And ultimately, I think that's going to do nothing but strengthen the industry and strengthen their business moving forward, even when we quote unquote pull out of this. So I think that's great. That's great stuff. What are some of the biggest, and all of you are well experienced, like I said, numerous times, have been through ups and down cycles. So what would you say are some of the common and most common and biggest mistakes that you see a lot of agents make during times like this, maybe out of panic or fear or not knowing how to respond? What are some common mistakes that you've seen that you would really caution not only your own team, but anybody who might be able to hear us through our panel here? What are some things that come to mind?
Hey, Don, I'm gonna jump in on this one first. There's one word: nothing.
Yeah, I agree, Ray. 100%.
So panicked with fear that they don't move, right?
Right.
I actually wanted to ask that
By
question.
analysis.
Yeah, I wanted to ask that question of the panelists. Like, I think that, you know, in Pinellas, we have 9,700 realtors right now. And I believe in the state of Florida, it's like 1 in every 9 people has a real estate license. So I believe that we're going to see the number of realtors be significantly reduced. And I wanted to know from the panelists, like, how's that going to impact your business? Because it's going to impact my business. How's it going to impact your business? And what are your thoughts around it?
I can, having been through 2008, 2009, it was interesting. Now I'm a little different model, right? 2008, 2009, we saw, I think, overall a reduction somewhere near at the association level of about a 50% reduction, right? A thinning of the herd, if you want to call it, right? Or however you want to take a look at that, where people who said, hey, look, it's not there. We ourselves, we grew during those times just because it was a time for agents at that moment to take a hard look at their bottom line and say, hey, look, you know, maybe it's a good time. If I'm going to sell less homes, I need to keep more of it. So I've always, you know, talking about turning a crisis into danger plus opportunity, whoever that was, is that Chris or
Chris?
Yeah, that said that. But in the short term, I just think that as brokers, we're going to learn to do things more lean, right? Some of us are pretty lean already. I know I am, but we can do it even more. I'm spending some of this time to go back and revisit every process we have, right? I'm tasking all my support staff. They're tracking themselves for a week and essentially kind of doing the old Dave Ramsey. How do you stop, you know, spending more money than you're supposed to? Step one is just write everything down you spend, right? So they're taking a look, and I'm encouraging our agents to do the same thing. How am I spending my time right now? Write down what you did, right? And if you see too many Netflix, Amazon Prime hours, right, it may be time to revisit the role of you as a business owner. And let's, by the way, just real quick for the agents out there that are participants, really, this is a time for you to shine. Right? This is a moment for you to step up and say, you know what, I am a business owner, number one. And also when we're interacting with our clients, when I interact with agents and they say, oh, Bob, it seems like every deal I have has a problem. I'm like, good, right? Because reality says, and we're all consumers as well, if there were no problems in a real estate transaction, then hopefully there's mostly realtors here, right? They wouldn't need us, right? I mean, if things went smooth and it was a piece of cake, why would any seller just willfully separate themselves from 6% of the sale price of their home because they liked your Facebook post, right? Or whatever. No, it's because you add value. We've heard it all, right? But part of adding value is stepping up when there's a problem and say, great, now's my chance to shine, right? And we can do that again in this crisis is now, hey, it's time for me to step in and be the knight in shining armor to come in and say, because, you know, I use the illustration, if you're freaking out as an agent when the house doesn't appraise, that's not eliciting a whole lot of confidence in your client, right? Okay. Right? You need to be the one that's stepping up and saying, hey, it's okay. I've been through this. It's all right. I got it. And we're going to take care of it. So now's your chance to hone those skills so you truly can be. Now, some of it's unknown. And I get that because we're going through some things that are unknown, but that's all right. We can analyze the data as we start to come out. One thing I'm doing personally is I'm trying to track specifically states that are ahead of us, right? When I say ahead of us, further along in this process, like Washington, they locked down a little earlier. California did. And as they begin to maybe come out of this, I'm going to pour into their data to say, hey, where were they before price-wise, median price-wise in an area? Where are they now? And how might that correlate to what we might be looking at when we come out? So just having that knowledge base behind us, but spending that time to do it. And again, nothing wrong with Netflix, all right, but just balance it out, right? Make sure you're balancing it out.
Bob, I have drawn a picture to illustrate what you're talking about. This is what I share. So, sorry, I have to draw everything. I'm a very visual person. So the consultation of the buyer and the seller, the showing the home, and then I say everything hits the fan. And but that's where the agent value is, in being able to navigate through that process all the way to the closing table. Oh,
that's it. That's a great pictorial of exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Okay, you can take me off of that now. Now I get Chris.
Don, if I was just going to say one thing, Don, it's that because I think the original question was what are they going to do? What are they doing wrong, or what? I believe that was the question. I think right now there have never been in any time in the history of the world more people at home, and so right now people need to double down on lead generation, and they need to be calling their sphere of influence. They need to double down and talk to people and say, look, this is a historic time, but just care about people. It doesn't need to be a talk about real estate necessarily. Of course, they might ask, but it's just caring about people, showing that you care, and they're going to remember you, that you were the one person that called them during the pandemic. And so, just remember that people are at home. It's time to double and triple up on your lead generation. And you can start booking appointments for May and June if you need to. If it's not appropriate right now, people don't feel comfortable. But it's just really that's probably the biggest thing, is that people right now, it's more like they're doing analysis by paralysis by analysis, and they're looking at all the charts, and they're turning on the TV, and they're just getting all caught up in that. When really what they need to be doing is just being in connection with their database and talking to their sphere of influence.
And with that, Chris, because the customer is going to be coming maybe May, June, July, keeping a really solid track on your pipeline, like making sure each month when people will be moving. I worked on this with an agent just yesterday, is when you start looking at the pipeline of all the activity you have going on, it gives you hope. It gives you, and it really helps you be able to track your business and see what the potential of the year is. So stay in touch with your database, keep talking to your sphere, and then build that pipeline.
Great stuff, guys. So many different nuggets to throw out there. One that definitely stood out to me, though, was the personal challenge. If I'm an agent on this call and I'm hearing all you guys talk about these various things and your thought process and your mentality, I think it was Bob that threw out there that this truly is a time to shine, right? And this really is about them stepping into a golden opportunity to separate themselves from everybody else. And it's a lot harder to separate yourself when times are good. It's a lot easier to separate yourself when everybody's fearful, right? And this is a time to really accept that challenge. And obviously with our platform, we feature top producers. So many of them have that mentality, or else they wouldn't be a top producer in the first place. But there are opportunities for all of us to step into that. We probably have time for one, maybe two more questions. I was curious about if there was anything that stood out to you, and this might not be something easy for all of you to think off the top of your head, but what would you say was the biggest challenge of your career so far? And what one lesson do you feel like that taught you? One particular challenge, if something comes to mind. Who'd like to go first? This is a fun topic to talk about, isn't it?
Okay, I'll go.
Being vulnerable is not always easy.
This morning was probably my biggest challenge.
This one,
not in this panel. I mean, this is the third Zoom room I'm in for today. So we get started at 8:10 every morning to 8:30, and then 8:30 it's another meeting, and it's like 10 hours of Zoom rooms live. But somebody put something in our chat, and we do Power Up every morning, and they talked about grief, and it hit me like a ton of bricks, because just like I said, when we opened our office in 2009, 2010, we took the largest square footage of any real estate office in downtown St. Pete, and everybody was looking at us like we were crazy. Well, we just moved January 1st, opened up 15,000 square feet. It is vacant right now. But that wasn't what it was for me. I firmly believe and know that we've built an office environment with a strong culture. I've always wanted to have a huge family. I have one amazing daughter. She really is amazing. But I consider my KW family my true family. Like they are there. And when somebody talked about grief this morning, I started really missing our office and our building and our people. And you can tell I'm emotional still. So I don't know how to overcome this, but this is my biggest one. This is my biggest challenge.
You're such a love bug, Rachel. Such a love bug.
No, everybody who knows me knows will not say that. I'm the rock. Yeah, it hit me hard this morning.
Awesome. And it is hard. I mean, for as any of us who are used to being around our teams in person and that camaraderie, we all miss that. There's no doubt about it. It's hard to replicate that with a screen in front of you. There's no doubt. Anybody else?
Well, I'll say that unfortunately, I've got ailing parents. My wife's parents are both now, one's in a rehab facility and assisted living. My father's has a lot of dementia, and he's in a nursing home right now. And so I think the personal toll it takes on people is always tough. So it's really tough you got to keep yourself motivated and your mindset right, because, I can't go visit them like I used to. So I was FaceTiming with my dad the other day, and of course he has dementia and doesn't really exactly know who he's talking to. So it's just that human contact that I used to go in and hold his hand that you don't have anymore, because he's in a lockdown facility right now. So I think that's the tough part in this particular crisis. But to answer your question overall, I would say, we pivoted very quickly back in 2008, 2010 to become the most investor-friendly office that focused on short sales, REO, BPO, you name it, for distressed properties. And so that was a challenge at the time because we had to pivot very quickly, but we came through it even stronger. And now we've got agents like Christina Griffin, who's the REO queen, I think they used to call her. She's ready to ramp up again should we have another bout of foreclosures.
Great stuff. Adjusting to the market and then going full-fledged forward with a new business plan. That's not easy to do, but obviously the other side has been very fruitful for you guys.
Yes. Yeah. Thanks, Don.
Yeah. I'll add to that. So I think the biggest challenge for me personally is, every day just thinking, have I equipped my agents with enough information for it to trickle down to our clients? There's so much information. It's always changing, and so many people, the public, just relying on us as the experts. I think it weighs heavy on our shoulders. We have a lot of different hats we wear. I mean, we've helped our clients move. We've helped them paint. We've done so many things. We've helped them decide between one home or another, this price or that price. But I think the thing that weighs heaviest on me is having 90 agents, having them, look up to me for information to equip them so then they could, do good by their clients, especially during this time. That's a tough one to go to sleep with every night.
It's a big responsibility.
I agree, Ray. That pressure to perform and to be the rock and be stable and to be the cheerleader and console and consult with just like what you're talking about. I can tell that your 90 agents are your family as well. That pressure, I think right now, is what's causing this to be the biggest challenge of my real estate career.
That's what comes, the burden that comes with leadership. Everyone thinks that leadership is all, you know, exciting and fluffy and roses and rewards, but there's a lot of burdens that come with it as well. Let's end with this. We are out of time. I can talk to you guys for another hour for sure, but you guys are busy people, as we all are, and we have to respect our time. We're going to wrap up here, but I want to end with this. We have to end on a positive note, of course, and hopefully leave somebody with something exciting to walk away from. So in 1 or 2 words, as brief as possible, we'll go quickly around the horn. What are you most excited about for the rest of this year? If you had to sum it up in 1 or 2 words, what are you most excited about for the rest of this year? Who wants to go first?
I'll say that I'm just most excited about seeing how we come out, engaging again, not just socially through Zoom, but through human interaction again. I'm excited about that. And I have so much faith, and I am bullish on America, just so you know. All right. If any country is going to come out of this and pull out of it and do it well and come out of this on the other side better, stronger, more lean, better, faster, then I trust the American people. And I'm excited that and beyond that, we are in Florida, people. If anybody's going to survive this thing and come out real estate wise, okay, it's this state. Business friendly, tax friendly, climate friendly, everything. We have all the things lined up. So hold on, it's all going to be okay. And I'm excited about where we're going to be at the end of this thing.
Awesome. I'm about to get a USA chant going on over here, Bob. That's good.
Well,
Ray, I'll call on you 3 real quick. So get your 1 or 2 words together. Ray, what about you?
You know, I think I feel so good about learning the lesson of it's not about what we don't have today, but it's more about what we do have. Most of us are very, very fortunate to have things that, you know, we might take for granted or we did in the past. And I think this was a wake-up call. So I think the focus is on, you know what, don't worry about what we don't have right now, but be appreciative of the things that we do have.
That's a huge lesson I've taken away from it as well, is being grateful for the little things that we definitely take for granted at all times. So great stuff, Ray. Chris?
I'll certainly say that just seeing our agents pivot in the shift is going to be rewarding. And, you know, that's what we focus so much on training and education, that letting that just flow freely. And, you know, again, we open it up to all brokers because we're all in this together right now. So, but I'm excited about seeing our agents thrive in an uncertain waters.
Awesome. And then Rachel, bring us home.
Well, mine kind of falls right in there with Chris's. I got sticky notes everywhere. Global presence. So, like everybody, I can tell that you're very passionate about your people and your office, and I'm sure you can see my passion as well. I think we have an amazing culture, and we've struggled for a couple years now of how to share that culture outside of our 4 walls and 15,000 square feet. And this new environment has given us that opportunity to really just be more of a presence online, virtually, and welcome in other people who need to be connected and need the guidance. And so for me, I think the biggest benefit or the biggest thing that I'm seeing out of this is we finally figured out how to get out of our own itty bitty sandbox and play in the big world.
I love it. And that's actually one of the purposes of why we even have Real Producers, is to provide a platform that allows top producers and various brokerages to connect with all the co-op opportunities that you guys have and the amount of business that you constantly do with agents from other offices and other brokerages. We wanted to be able to be a resource to hopefully provide some value to connect the real estate community and strengthen the real estate community across the board. So thank you guys so much for your insights and your thoughts. I think we could have gotten a lot more. I'll probably be asking you to join us on another panel down the road. Next month will probably be another one like this, another virtual panel via Zoom. Look for that promotion on our Facebook page. This recording will also be on our public Facebook page if you'd like to share it and check it out. You guys are great. I appreciate it once again. I'm going to be texting some of you for your address because I have something to send you, and I don't think I have all of your addresses. So I'll be shooting you a text here soon. But thank you again, and you have an amazing day and an amazing week. Thanks for your contribution.
Thanks,
Thank
Don.
you, Don.
Don.
Thank you for
very
that.
much. Everybody stay safe.
Bye-bye
Stay
now.
safe. Absolutely.
Bye.